As much as we talk in 2020 about Joe Biden hiding in the basement, and that's true, the winning message for Joe Biden was Trump is crazy. He shouldn't be president. That was the winning message for him. And it did win. That's why the basement strategy works. Now, Donald Trump could win an election against Joe Biden by saying, that guy's awful at this job. He is awful and terrible at this job. But that means he has to run on that. The election can't be about anything else. Well, the good news is that's pretty fertile ground. Democrats are busily attempting to convince people that everybody is doing great in America. Paul Krugman has an entire piece titled, Why Does the Right Hate America? In the New York Times today. Why is he saying that the right hates America? Because the right is pointing out that crime has spiked in the last couple of years because of Democrats and their pro-crime policies. That Republicans are sort of upset about the state of the economy, even though he says that the economy is just glowing and doing amazing. Really, try to convince the American people that their feelings are wrong on these issues. Really, go for it. Even many Democrats and popular Hollywood entertainers are starting to figure out that Joe Biden is a very, very bad candidate. Now, again, Republicans could take that for granted and then just assume he's going to lose. That would be a huge, widespread mistake. But here was Sarah Silverman last night, and this is pretty biting stuff against Joe Biden.
Let's kick things off with the reason most of the people in this audience could not sleep well last night. A new poll shows Joe Biden getting trounced by Donald Trump in almost every single swing state. Don't panic. It's still too early to say Biden will definitely lose. He could absolutely die in his sleep instead. I'm just saying, this is really scary for liberals. And I mean actually scary, not like they took Hamilton off Disney Plus scary.
Well, yes, Democrats are in a state of full-scale panic over Joe Biden. And again, they should be, because there's going to be more that drops about him and Hunter. There's going to be more that drops in terms of the economy before the election. Now, tonight is a big Republican debate. Now, when I say big, I mean kind of big. The reason I say kind of big is because Donald Trump is running away in the polling data right now, just running away. The national GOP polling data has Donald Trump up near 60%. That's as high as he has been this entire election cycle. He is up in the Real Clear Politics average at 58%. Ron DeSantis is at 14. Nikki Haley is at 9. Vivek Ramaswamy is at 4. Christie is at 3. And everybody else is an also ran. I do love that in the Real Clear Politics polling average, Tim Scott is running below Mike Pence, who's no longer in the race. Doug Burgum, for some reason, is still in the race. No one understands why. But okay. In any case, Trump has this extremely large lead. Now, in Iowa, the lead isn't quite as large, but it's still very large. So the current polling suggests that he is up on the field by somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 27 points. That's which is a big lead. It is a big lead, but he does not have a majority of voters clearly moving in his direction. Yesterday, Kim Reynolds, who's the governor of Iowa, a very popular governor of Iowa, endorsed Ron DeSantis. Here's what that sounded like.
We need to make sure that we choose wisely, that we make the right decision, that we elect somebody who can actually win and beat Joe Biden. And we need a president who has the skills and the resolve to reverse the madness that we see on a daily basis. We need a president that is focused on the future and not the past. And we need a president who puts Americans and America first. And I'm here to tell you that man is Ron DeSantis.
Okay, so there she is endorsing. Now, is she wildly popular in Iowa? She's kind of like even in Iowa. The latest Emerson College poll showed her approval rating at 32% approved, 39% disapproved, 29% neutral. So they're kind of like, about Kim Reynolds in Iowa. But she does have a very large political organization in Iowa. And this effectively is going to foreclose the possibility that Nikki Haley comes from behind and overtakes, at this point, Ron DeSantis. Because again, it's a caucus state. So what that means is that DeSantis in Iowa is the truest threat to Trump. Now, that's also the state where the polls are the closest. So if nobody beats Trump in Iowa, it is clearly and overtly over. It may be over even if somebody does beat Trump in Iowa. Obviously, he lost Iowa the first time around against Ted Cruz, and then he proceeded to win the nomination. Over the past few weeks, Pure Talk has been working toward alleviating $10 million in veteran debt by Veterans Day. Thanks to your support last week, they're 90% to that goal with a few days to go. Think about this. The U.S. military is made up of 100% volunteers. These are men and women who willingly sacrifice everything they have for the country. When they're done serving, they return home to a tight job market and outrageous living expenses. That's why I'm so happy a private company like Pure Talk has jumped in to help. When you switch to Pure Talk's lightning fast 5G network, they will donate a portion of every new order to this noble cause. You can make a real difference just by choosing superior cell phone service. So you get the best cell phone service and you're helping out something fantastic. Pure Talk's plans start at just $20 a month, offering unlimited talk, text, more data, and mobile hotspot. Just go to puretalk.com/Shapiro and make the switch today. Let's help ease the burden on the men and women who have given us so much. Visit puretalk.com/Shapiro. Switch over to Pure Talk today. It's the right move. It's the American way. Visit puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Again, that's puretalk.com/Shapiro. I've been using Pure Talk for all my phone calls for a year at this point. It's great. My phone calls are crystal clear. Great tower network. Plus, you're helping out veterans. puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Now is the perfect time to join Prize Picks. Prize Picks offers projections on pretty much every sport there is. NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, PGA, college sports, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, disc golf, whatever you're into. Prize Picks is the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. You pick 2 to 6 players and you choose whether they will score more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 25 times your money on a single entry. You don't compete against other people. It's just you versus the projections. Plus, Prize Picks has a reboot policy. It keeps your entries in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games and college football top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and doesn't come back in the second, that player is then rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Producer Jake, for example, big fan of the Memphis Grizzlies. Sadly for him, they are absolute garbage this season, but Prize Picks allow Jake to still enjoy watching that regular season and make entries on his favorite players. Jake says the interface is just fantastic. Go to prizepicks.com/Ben. Use promo code Ben for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Ben with promo code Ben for a deposit match up to $100. If you look at the other states that are coming up in the Republican nominating process, Trump is well ahead in all of those states. So in New Hampshire, he has 49% to Haley's 15%, to DeSantis' 11%, to Christie's 9%. Now, again, those numbers aren't 55%, 60% in the early states, but that's before you get down south. And once you get down to like South Carolina, Trump's going to clean up. So there needs to be a major showing of some level of momentum by another Republican candidate. The thing that is prohibiting that is, in fact, Joe Biden's weak polling data. Republicans are going to have to think a little bit with their heads instead of just looking at the polling data. Now, that's weird for me to say. I think polling data is kind of the only data we have. What other evidence do we have? With that said, the polls are also showing there's a lot of malleability between Trump and Biden. So you got to take that into account. Will Trump be able to deliver the knockout blow to Biden? Will he be able to deliver the message that is going to get Joe Biden booted from office? That's the question hovering in the background of tonight's Republican debate. So what needs to happen in tonight's Republican debate? Well, clearly at some point here, DeSantis and Haley are going to go at each other. Haley has to knock DeSantis out. She has to not only knock DeSantis out, she has to somehow consolidate the rest of the field's support. That's a very uphill road. As I've said before, Ron DeSantis, if he bows out of the race right now, half his support will go to the non-Trump candidates and half his support will go to the Trump candidate, meaning Trump. That means that if he's got 20% in these polls, 10% of that goes to Trump. That puts Trump at 60 or 70%. So that's over. Haley, her entire support base is outside the Trump camp. No one who loves Trump is supporting Haley. That's just not the crossover right now. If she were to drop out, presumably that support gets split among Christie and Ramaswamy, probably not Ramaswamy, Christie, DeSantis, and then as the field consolidated, it might turn into a two-man race. With that said, what is tonight's race good for? It's got to clear the field. There has to be some dropouts after this race. Tim Scott needs to go away for whatever his 3% are worth. Chris Christie has no shot at the nomination. He knows it. It's a spite campaign. That's the only thing that drives the round mound or rebound over here is just pure spite. That's the only reason he's still in the race. He needs to go away. He's doing nothing that Mike Pence didn't already try. This is a two-person race for the second place finish. And until that part of the field consolidates, there's certainly no shot at defeating Donald Trump. Even if they consolidate, Donald Trump has, just by the numbers, a wild advantage. And Republicans are going to have to decide before the election cycle if they believe that Donald Trump is the best person to take on Joe Biden, just assuming that Biden himself is the winning issue and there doesn't need to be a winning message. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Facts, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.